G'day, I'm Pete, the Aussie Bush Cop. In 2012 I retired from the New South Wales Police and moved to beautiful King Island, where I become a homesteader. I'd like to share with you some of my stories of crime and criminals from up there. Well, here we are again. Thank you so much for joining me. Here on King Island, we're in our spring, and you may hear the wind rustling through the eaves, and it's still reasonably cool. I know I'm not wearing a coat, but I could easily have one on. So we still got the fire going in the house, and but it's what we need. We need lots and lots of rain here on the island. I'm going to tell you a story today, and I hope you're not feeling too queasy. Because when I did a podcast earlier about industrial accidents, I deliberately left this one off the list. And as I think it deserved special time. And I'm not going to identify the place of business where this happened, simply because there's no point in identifying where it happened. I don't wish to embarrass anybody, but it happened during the day, and I was called to this location because there had been an explosion. And fortunately for me, by the time I got there, the victim of the explosion had been taken to hospital alive. Where it happened was in a massive shed. Now, I have a shed on our homestead that's 18 metres long by 18 by 9 metres. The shed I'm talking about where this explosion happened would probably be at least 4 times the size of my shed. So you can figure that out. And what happened was that this fellow, who didn't have any real connections with the shed apart from the fact that he was doing some work there. And he went there to do some welding. And there's a designated welding bay in this shed. So this man, and I never met him, but I understood he was probably in the order of 40 years of age. And he was doing this welding, and I don't know how soon after he started the welding, but underneath the welding table was explosives. Now, I know next to nothing about explosives, but I have discussed this with a friend of mine who knows a lot more, and he said that there must have been a detonator included in the explosives, because with explosives you need, I believe it was det cord, short for detonation cord. And I think detonation cord is something that they wrap around. It's a cord, and they can wrap it around, say, a tree trunk, and that will snap the tree trunk off. I've also been reliably told that det cord, if you wrap it around 2 lengths of it around a car and detonate it, it will split the car in half. So it's powerful stuff. But det cord needs a detonator to detonate it. You can tell me in the comments what your understanding of that is, but nonetheless, this man was in this business house in this massive shed doing some electric arc welding, I believe it was, and this det cord detonated. And the area above where he was doing this was a steel shed and with a corrugated iron roof, and sheets of metal above, directly above where he was just simply weren't there anymore. The poor man that this happened to, essentially lost his legs. And how I know that, I have personal experience of understanding that, because for a period of time, the police were investigating that for a possible offence of, there's an offence called negligent act causing grievous bodily harm. In the end, they didn't prosecute anybody because they have the call on that, and the call was that putting the matter before a court was going to achieve no further. The people that left the det cord there couldn't have felt any worse than what they already felt. It's one of the guiding principles of law is that in the interest of justice to do this, and it wasn't considered to be in the interest of justice to prosecute the people that had left detonation cord there. What I alluded to a moment ago was that when they were initially giving thought to a prosecution, when I got there, I was allocated the job, as was another officer, of going around outside and picking up pieces of his leg bone. Now that's a pretty grisly thing to do, and there was, I guess the only way I could describe it would be shards of bone. Probably, I can remember some about this big, where the det cord was laying on the ground, about where his ankles would have been. And I don't know what the word you would use to describe that, but it was something like disintegrated is probably too strong a word, but it certainly destroyed his legs, and they essentially weren't there anymore. How he survived, I'm not real sure, but he did, and I imagine that he had significant burns, apart from the destroying of his legs. He would have had significant burns and probably, I would guess, significant hearing loss. I want to give you an idea of the blast, apart from what I just said. I went looking through the building, and there was a room within the building where there was a vehicle parked, and it would have been at the furthest extent of that building, probably around 20 metres away from where he was standing. And in this, there was a designated room within the building where this vehicle was parked, and one of the windows in this vehicle had been dislodged simply from compression, from the expanding or from the compressed air from the explosion. And so that gave me a pretty first-hand understanding of just what this blast was like. And I once was listening to a lecture given by a serving commissioner of the New South Wales Police. And one of the things that he said that I remembered was that in the police, one of the things that you learn in the coppers is that you can learn from other people's mistakes. And I remembered that when I heard the commissioner say that. And to this day, now that I have the lifestyle that I have, where I fix things and mend things in my shed, and to this day, and in fact probably only happened just yesterday, I was in my shed doing something. If I'm using an angle grinder, let alone an arc welder or an oxy welder, I always check, double check and triple check that there is nothing in that immediate area that can catch fire. What I mean by that is jerry cans of fuel, whether it be petrol or diesel, or anything that can catch fire. You've probably heard many times about a fire in a building where tradesmen have been working either with angle grinders or with welding equipment, and sometime later a fire catches because of the sparks, and they go into something and it smoulders away, and given the right conditions it catches fire. So I got lots of experience and experiences to draw on about learning from other people's mistakes. So that was a really, really powerful learning experience for me. It was pretty grisly, but I often think about that man and how his life fared after that. The thing that where these things happen, happens in an instant. And that's the thing that I find quite terrifying about some of these things. They can just happen in an absolute instant, whether it's a car crash, a motorbike crash, a gunshot wound. All of these things happen, in fractions of a second. So thanks for joining me today, and we'll see you again next time, and let me know what you think about it in the comments.